Morning, everyone. Doing good today? Me too. Good. We're all good. So, today, what I would like to talk to you about, among other things, is deep mind, sometimes known as deep faith. Now, I know you're all looking at me right now thinking, deep mind? You? Yeah, right. And it's true, you have a point. I do spend a lot of time watching the Three Stooges, but, but don't underestimate the wisdom of Curly, all right? So, hopefully, this will be a learning experience for both of us because so much of my learning comes from being here with all of you, so thank you. One very quick description I found on DeepMind, and I promise not to stop there. Here we go. DeepMind, using our Nembutsu practice to have a calm, kind, and creative mind. Now, that sounds great, but how does it work? Well, if only life came with an instruction manual, right? Well, it kind of does. The Buddha gave us the Dharma, so let's see what we can find out. Now, deep mind is sometimes called deep faith, and as Buddhists, we tend to shy away from words like faith, but I think the word faith is good. I kind of like it. The Dharma will not work for us unless we have faith that it will. So perhaps we can use the word faith as a bit of a verb, as in putting our faith of the Dharma into action. So we actually have what is known as three minds: the sincere mind, the deep mind, the mind that sees birth in the Pure Land by transformation of one's merit. But for our purposes today, we're going to stick with the deep mind and a touch of the sincere mind. So where does this come from? Well, let's start with one of the 7 masters of Jodo Shinshu. So there are 7 masters. No, I cannot name them all. In fact, I can't even name all of Santa's reindeer. Well, let's try. Comet, Cupid, Donner, Nixon, forget it. So, aside from Honen, we tend to forget that there are 7 masters. So now we're going to talk about one, Master Shantao, sometimes known as Shandao, and in Japan known as Zendo. Shantao was born in the Shandong province of China, and when he was young, kind of like Shinran, he entered the priesthood. Now, when I was young, I was playing in the dirt and watching Speed Racer, so shows you where I'm at. But in the year 641, he visited the famous Pure Land master, Dakao, who happened to be giving a lecture on the Contemplation Sutra. This lecture ultimately inspired him to become Dakao's disciple, so he could follow and spread the Pure Land. After Dakao's death, Shantao traveled to the imperial capital to teach Pure Land Buddhism. Shantao lived in the Shanxi Temple, which continues to honor his memory and contributions. Shantao's writings have had a strong influence on other Pure Land masters, including our very own Honen and Shinran. Now, we cannot talk about Shantao without reading the parable of the 2 rivers and white path. Now, I know most of you have probably heard this parable before, but this is an opportunity to use the patented Jim Pollard method of beginner's mind. Listen as if it was the first time you have heard it. And by the way, don't forget, I don't know where Jim is here. I know he's here someplace. But don't forget to pick up Jim's fantabulous book, Let This Be Known. It includes a chapter on beginner's mind. So, a little plug for my buddy there. So now, 2 rivers and the white path, a parable that appears in the commentary of the Meditation Sutra, authored by the one and only Master Shantao himself. It illustrates how an aspirant to the Western Pure Land, awakening deep mind of Amida, and attains rebirth in the Pure Land. Now, the river of fire represents anger, and that of water and greed. The white path symbolizes the slim possibility of awakening faith in a mind full of evil passions. The voice from the eastern bank is the teaching of Shakyamuni, and that from the western bank, the summons of Amida. The western bank represents the destination, the Western Pure Land. Just a quick note, the painting you see up there is the oldest known painting of the rivers, 2 rivers and white path, 13th century, of course. It is preserved in Kyoto, but I have it here on loan from us. So Here we go. Put your seatbelts on. Suppose a man is traveling 100,000 miles towards the west. On the way, he suddenly comes upon two rivers. One is a river of fire that extends southward, and the other is a river of water that extends northward. The two rivers are each 100 paces wide and unfathomably deep, extending endlessly to the north and south. Where they meet, there is a white path, 4 or 5 inches wide. The path is 100 paces long from the east bank to the west. The waves of the water splash, and the flames of the fire burn the path. The waves and flames alternate without ceasing. The traveler has already journeyed far into the open plain where there is no one to be found. Suddenly, there appear many bandits and vicious beasts. Grrr. Seeing him alone, they approach, competing with each other to kill him. Afraid of death, he at once runs to the west. And when he suddenly sees the great river, he says to himself, "The river extends endlessly to the south and to the north. I see a white path in the middle, but it is extremely narrow. Although the two banks are now close to each other, how can I get across? Undoubtedly, I shall die this day. When I turn and return, I see bandits and vicious beasts. Grrr, closer and closer. I try to run toward the south or north. I see vicious beasts, grrr, and poisonous insects, bzzz, with each other to attack me. If I seek the path to the west, I will certainly fall into one of the two rivers of water and fire." His horror at this moment is beyond expression. So he thinks to himself, if I turn back now, I shall die. If I stay, I shall die. If I go forward, I shall die. Since I cannot escape in any way, I would rather follow this path. Because there is a path, it must be possible to cross the rivers. It sounds like a Greek tragedy, doesn't it? So, when this thought occurs to him, he suddenly hears a voice from the eastern bank urging him, "Take this path with firm resolution. There is no danger of death. If you stay there, you will die." Again, he hears another voice from the western bank calling him, "Come at once, single-heartedly, with right mindfulness. I will protect you. Do not fear that you may fall into the calamities of water and fire." Since the traveler hears this voice urging him from the bank and calling him from the other, he resolutely, body and soul, takes the path and proceeds at once without doubt or apprehension. As he takes a step or two, he hears voices of the bandits on the eastern bank. "Come back. The path is treacherous. You cannot cross it. Undoubtedly, you are sure to die. We have no evil intentions in pursuing you." Yeah, right. Though hearing the calling voices, our hero does not even look back. As he proceeds straight on this path with singleness of heart, he in no time reaches the western bank and is now free from all danger. There he meets his good friend, and his joy knows no end. Now, my personal interpretation, I'm not that good at interpretation, so we'll see. My personal interpretation of the ending of this is that when we first start to recite the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, we are calling out to Amida, but with deep mind, eventually that turns into Amida calling to us. Now, I found something kind of cool. I think you guys will like. I actually found some interpretations from Master Chantel himself, so I'm going to read a few of those. Hopefully you'll like them. The open plain, whereas there is no one to be found, refers to always mixing with evil friends without having a chance to meet a true good teacher. Right over there. So, the white path, the two rivers of water and fire describe sentient beings, greed and lust, which are like water in their anger and hatred, which is like fire. The white path in the middle, 4 or 5 inches wide, shows that a pure aspiration for birth arises from within sentient beings, evil passions of greed and anger. Since greed and anger are intense, they are compared to water and fire. Since a good mind is faint, it is compared to the white path. Further, waves of splash and path describe the greed which is constantly arises and defiles one's good mind. Flames always burn the path, shows that anger and hatred burn the Dharma treasure of virtue. This man once takes the path westward, shows that he at once proceeds westward by leaving behind various practices. Hearing a voice from the eastern bank urging him to proceed, he immediately takes the path west and shows that even though Shakyamuni has already passed away, people can no longer see him, his teachings still exist and can be followed. The teachings are compared to a voice. As there is a man on the western bank calling to him that refers to Amida's vow. In no time, he reaches the western bank and rejoices, seeing his good friend. Shows that the sentient beings who have long been sinking in the state of birth and death, transmigrating from the eternal past and being deluded and bound by their own karma, from which they cannot set themselves free, are now urged by Shakyamuni to proceed to the west. They are also summoned by Amida's compassion. Faithfully following the wishes of two sages, they take the path of vow power with constant mindfulness while unafraid of the two rivers of water and fire. After their death, they will be born in this land where they will see the Buddha with boundless joy. So, now lastly, finally, a bit of my personal story with Deep Mind. Now, I believe my first real encounter with Deep Mind was when I first discovered Jodo Shinshu here at OCBC. Well, duh. Where else would I find it, right? Now, though I'd spent many years reading books on Buddhism, I was unfamiliar with Jodo Shinshu. I found Amida Buddha and Nembutsu a little confusing, but everyone here was like really nice to me, and soon I felt a sense of belonging. So thank you, everyone. My first thoughts was, when I got here, was that it would be a great place to sit back and learn and pretend I was being philosophical and intellectual. Yeah, right. Me again. I think the most important thing I learned was to drop all that and simply go on with the practice and the process of Buddhism. In time, I learned that Deep Mind could be something very different. My biggest obstacle with Deep Mind was not realizing that I needed to be, now watch out for this word, saved. My ego was such that I thought I was just fine and study would make me better. Yeah, got that one wrong, right? So once I had this realization that we are ignorant and defiled, I love that word defiled, that's me. We can see that self-power is really quite impossible and employ other power as our practice. Through self-examination, we can see our defilements and gain a sense of humbleness and humility. And I am the master of humility now. So, when we begin Deep Mind, we are finally able to view our need and be saved through the practice of other power. I think the aspects of Deep Mind start with the Nembutsu and then spread out from there. By regularly reciting the Nembutsu, it gives us the Deep Mind to learn and practice the Dharma. It helps us to see the Dharma in everything that we do. There's some Reverend Harada used to talk about that I really liked. We also need to keep in mind the 18th or primal vow, where we vow to postpone our own enlightenment until we help all others gain enlightenment. That's a rather daunting task, right? But I feel that we can use the 18th vow as a way to be kind and help others. With sincere mind in the practice of the Nembutsu, the rest will come naturally. We will have the right view of Deep Mind and the 18th vow and be able to live with a sincere deep mind and heart. We will be able to break through our defilements and lead a happy life. And if all else fails, go to Disneyland. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Butsu.